Very pleasant good morning to everyone. This is a continuation of Unit 3 supplementary earthquake. I already narrated the story in the previous class. In the Himalayan range, there were 670 villages. 670 villages. At that time, once they had an earthquake. In that earthquake, 602 villages were destroyed in the earthquake. At the same time, Monty and Pauri, they also come under Himalayan range. There are 670 villages among them. The Monty and Pauri, they were the two villages. This story is focused on a family, how they survived, how a boy survived in that earthquake. So here, Monty, this was a village that was destroyed by the earthquake, and only one boy, a boy called Birch, when he went to his uncle's house, this earthquake happened, and he lost Neelu, his grandmother, and his mother in the earthquake. Then the very next day of the earthquake, he and his Birch and his uncle, they visited the Morty first, and they spotted the house, and they were searching the missing girl. Other three, Neelu's dead body they got, mother and grandmother's dead body they got, but they were searching for Bilu. They suspected she might be eaten by some wild animals or something else. So at the same time, his father already passed away. Before 40 months, he passed away. This house was built by. It was a stone house that was built by his grandfather. So a military officer rescued Bowley. At the same time, Birch was very thankful to him. He was very grateful to the military officer, but he couldn't spot him any time. So for his remembrance, every day his remembrance comes in his mind. Every day his remembrance comes in his mind. So he thought of running a tea shop and also to providing tea at free of cost to the pilgrims and also to the visitors, those who come here. And in the previous class, I have completed the first. In the previous class, I completed the first page, page number 82. Now we will continue the second from page number 83 onwards. Now all of you turn to page number 83. It was 4 years ago in the month of October, one night earthquake. Yes, termites are common in these spots. These snows may seem eternal. The Himalayas may look solid, but the truth is, deep down they are unstable. We who live here are accustomed to termites. So here, this earthquake happened 4 years back. 4 years back in the month of October. At the same time, one night the earthquake and the termites are common in these spots. Termites means slight earthquake. Termites means slight earthquake. Note down the meaning. Termites means slight earthquake. So it comes under this place. Molti comes under Himalayan range. So it will be filled with snow. Himalayan range it will be mountain. It was filled with snow. Even though it looks very stronger, the base of the Himalaya is unstable. It is due to the force of the volcanoes. It was unstable, and often termites happen in this place. Now come to the next paragraph. But what happened that night was more than that. It was a terrible earthquake. It affects It affects were as far away as Delhi and Lucknow. So here, during the time of this earthquake, the similar shake, a slight shake, they could experience in Delhi and Lucknow. Delhi and Lucknow also they could experience the same shake when there was earthquake in this Malti place. Can you imagine the devastation at the heart of the earthquake? Devastation means state of being destroyed. The destroyed condition. Destroyed condition is called as devastation. Note on the meaning. Destroyed condition. Destroyed condition is called as devastation. Come to the next paragraph. The epicenter was in a valley not far away from here. There were 670 villages in the valley. 602 were destroyed. The earthquake lasted less than 5 minutes. The time enough to set these centuries-old mountains crushing and to reduce old villages to rubble and snuff or hundreds of life. So there were it is said that in the Himalayan range there were 670 villages. In the Himalayan range there were 670 villages. During that earthquake, 602 villages were affected. Affected means they were destroyed. Out of 670, 68 villages were unaffected. Here, this earthquake lasted only for 5 minutes. But this is enough, more than enough, to destroy 602 villages. Earlier, many constructions, houses were constructed by the ancestors, but all were demolished within 5 minutes. That's what it is here. Then come to the next paragraph. It was sheer chance that I was away that night. I had gone to Pauri to buy my books. I stayed the night at my uncle's house. We felt the termites. We ran out into the open. Again and again the termites came. We spent the entire night outside. Pauri lived through the night. Malti did not. So here, on the day of the earthquake, Burge he went to his uncle's house. He went to buy books from the school. At the same time, he stayed in his uncle's house. That night he stayed in his uncle's house. So when there was an earthquake in Malti, the same earthquake experience, the same experience, there was slight shakes. There were slight shakes in Pauri also. But there were slight shakes, but it was frequently they had the shakes, earthquake shakes. So all of them stayed outside in Pauri. Burge and also uncle's family members, they all stayed outside the house the entire night. They spent the entire night outside. Pauri lived through the night. Malti did not. But here Pauri survived in the earthquake. No houses were destroyed. All was safe. But here they were totally destroyed. Then, for the living, the nightmare began at daybreak when news trickled of the large-scale devastation. There were dozens of landslides, huge boulders thrown haphazardly across motorable tracks and roads. Precious time was spent in blasting the roads and cleaning the way of army rescue team. It was all all of 4 days before help arrived for Malti once more. For the living, nightmare began at daybreak when the news trickled in of the large-scale devastation. There were dozens of landslides, huge boulders thrown harpadously across motorable tracks and roads. Precious times spent in blasting the rocks and clearing the way of army rescue teams. It was all 4 days before help arrived for Malti. So, in the very first line, for the living, the nightmare began the daybreak. Nightmare means frightening dream. Nightmare means frightening dream. Nightmare means frightening. Frightening. Frightening dream. DREA dream. There were many landslides also. So during the time of landslides, totally it brings a total constructions of the house and the buildings, and it damaged the house and buildings, and it pulled it to the rocks. It pulled it to the roads, scattered to the roads, and it took many time to clear the road for the army operation to rescue. For the army rescue team. So it took 4 days after this earthquake. It took 4 days for the army rescue team to come to the spot for rescuing the people and also the children. Then come to the next paragraph. I was among the first to reach the village. My uncle accompanied me. With fear the worst, but nothing had prepared us for what we saw. Every single house, every wall, every roof had been flattened. Stone, rubble and dust were all that remained. Our house was a 2-storied building with a slate roof. My great-grandfather had built the house. We were a small family. My father had died after an illness just 14 months ago. My mother took care of us. We were 3 children. I was the oldest. My brother Neelu was 10. Bauli, my 2-year-old sister, was a baby of the family. My grandmother lived with us. Here, immediately after the earthquake, it took now 4 days to the army rescue team to come to the place. At the same time, at that time, this boy reached earlier. Oh, what was the name of the boy? Bert. He reached earlier to the place where his house was, and he was searching. When he came there with his uncle, and totally he saw everything were destroyed. Not even a single house survived the earthquake. Every walls, every roof had been flattened. Stone, rubble, dust were all that remained. Our houses were the 2-story building with a slate roof. The Bird's house, parents' house, that was a 2-story stone house with a slate roof, means slanting roof. We were a small family. My father had died after an illness just 14 months ago. Before this earthquake, 14 months before the earthquake, his father passed away due to illness. There were 3 children, and there were still 3 children. Bert, the oldest of all, was 17 years old. Neelu, 10-year-old boy. Bauli, 2 years old sister. At the time, on the day of the earthquake, mother and grandmother were also with the children, except Bert. He went to his uncle's to buy books and study in his uncle's house on that day. Then come to next. Next paragraph. When the soldiers began to clear the debris. Debris means broken pieces. Debris means broken pieces. Debris means broken pieces. When the soldiers began to clear the debris, my uncle had led me away. I was in a complete dash, too numb to feel anything. The soldiers had set up a makeshift hospital. Underline makeshift hospital. Makeshift hospital. Makeshift hospital means temporary hospital. Temporary hospital. Temporary hospital made during the time of disaster. DISASTR disaster. Temporary hospital made using the time of made during the time of disaster. When the soldiers began to clear the debris, my uncle led me away. I was in a complete dash, too numb to feel anything. The soldiers had set up the makeshift hospital camp. Someone gave me tea and biscuits. I don't know how long I was there. Suddenly, in the evening, my uncle was standing beside me. They have taken the bodies to the river bank. He said gently, "Come, you must perform last rites before sunset. Tomorrow we will go back to Pauri." So here the army camp, they came and started the rescue operation. So all the dead bodies, they were taken from the debris. They were taken another debris, and they were taken to the river banks. And here Burge and his uncle was also there on the spot, but his uncle told him that this is the time for perform last rites for our lost ones. So tomorrow we shall go back to Pauri. Then come to next one. I got lost seeing my family while leaving from Pauri. They stood at the doorway and waved. Ma, Grandma, Neelu and Bauli. That is the way I will always remember them, smiling and waving me, not at the white shirt, lifeless figures I saw. Bauli, she was not there. They have not found her. My uncle said, the wild animals, birds, don't look like that. She's dead, but we must find her. I shouted. Bird, get a grip of yourself, uncle pleaded, but I was beyond reasoning. I ran back to the village, to the spot where my house had stood. So here the uncle was trying to convince him. He asked earlier to conduct the funeral rites, but he was not ready to accept it. At the same time, Burge, he saw his parents last time when he was about to leave Pauri, and they built by Kunda. Neelu, Bauli, his mother and grandmother, they built by to him, and that was a long time, last time. At the same time, their face were glittering. They were very happy to send him to his uncle's house. Later, here the situation was his uncle. So his uncle was convincing Burge to come back to Pauri, but he was not. He told his sister might have died, and might have eaten by animals or something else. So she was missing. So let them leave her, and we shall go to Pauri. There was no other way. So let us move to Pauri. But he was not able to accept it. But he was not able to accept it. But his inner feelings, in his inner feeling, he wanted to search her anyway and do the final last rites. Then come to the next paragraph. But I was beyond the reason. I ran back to the village to the spot where my house had stood. There was still so much debris. Debris means broken pieces. I scrambled around, shifting the earth and stones. How long I was on my knees searching, crying and searching. Boy, it was no use. A voice said. I looked up. The speaker was the army officer who had supervised the relief operation. There was no one alive in there. He said, whom are you looking for? So, neglecting the words of his uncle, he went to the spot where his house was and he was searching the place. He was removing the debris from the place. He was trying to trace out what was inside the house. That means his sister. At the same time, a voice that he heard a voice. It was a voice of the army officer, and he entered in. What was he doing, and what was he searching for? And he told he was searching for his sister, and he told nobody is alive. Nobody was alive in this place. Then come to next paragraph. My sister, sir, I said, frightening to control my tears. All I want is to give her a proper cremation. I stopped, conscious that I was. Conscious means inner feeling. Conscious means inner feeling. Conscious means inner feeling. I stopped, conscious that I was babbling, and I could see that he was bone tired. He looked as if he had not slept for days. His uniform was covered with dust. His face was grimy, but through all the dust and grim, I saw the years were kind. My men have been on the feet for days, he said softly, as if talking to himself. They have done all they could hear. Tomorrow at daybreak we will go to another village, just like this, then another. He looked away at the sun setting behind the peaks. Down the valley, the fires burnt, the row upon row. Fires means burning material. Fires means burning material. Used to burn the dead bodies. Burning material. The officer muttered something, shook his head, nodded and turned away. A terrible despair engulfed me. Terrible despair. Despair means loss of hope. Despair means loss of hope. Terrible despair. Despair means loss of hope. Engulf means covered. Engulf means covered. C-O-V-E-R-E-D, covered. Engulf means covered. I lay there among the ruins of my house. Ruins means damages. Ruins means damages of the house and cried. So while he was searching here for his sister, a man came and entered. There was an army officer. He told, finally, he replied he was searching for his sister. At the same time, while looking at this army officer, he seems to be very tired, and his dress was full of dust. His uniform was full of dust. Even then, he seems to be energetically working for the rescue team. So here the army officers uttered these words in a slow voice. My men have been on the feet for days. The soldiers have been working for 4 days. 4 days. At the same time, tomorrow we will leave to another village for the rescue operation. So in the down the valley, they could see the other villages burning of fires. Burning of fires. Fires means burning material used to burn the dead bodies of the corpus. Then come to next paragraph. 10 minutes later, the officer was back. With him were 3 soldiers armed with spades and crowbars. Without a word, the men began at removing the debris. They labored doggedly. When it was completely dark, someone brought few lit Petromax lamps. 2 hours later, a soldier called out, "Sir." He stood in the middle of the small hollow. The wall had curved in at that spot. I recognized a part of a door. Beneath it, a small path. Feverishly, the soldier began to clear the hollow. Then they lifted the door. "She is alive," someone said. It was a miracle. She had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. She had survived the cold nights and the wild animals. A ragged sheer went up, and the soldiers covered her in a warm blanket and carried her to the tent where a makeshift hospital had been set up. Bowley lived. The next day I went to thank the army officer, but he was gone. I did not even know his name. So here, in the first military officer, he told me they were very tired, they were full of dress. The next day, they are going to another village for the rescue operation. So 10 minutes later, army officer came back with 3 soldiers with the spades and crowbars to remove the debris. While they were doing so, it was late. It was in the late evening. That means it was dark. At that time, somebody else brought Petromax lamp. 2 hours later, two hours later, they pulled out the door. Beneath it, there was a small foot. There, somebody else's voice raised up. "She is alive." It was a miracle. At the same time, the soldiers they raised their voice. "She is alive," and it was a miracle. At the same time, she survived under the debris 116 hours without food. Underline the last line of the paragraph. She had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. She survived under the debris for 116 hours without food and water, bearing the cold, and also the wild animals. So she was half unconscious state, and she was wrapped in a warm blanket and carried to the makeshift hospital, where Burge, he was staying there in the camp. Then come to next paragraph. My sister and I went to live with my uncle. Soon after, I had got a job at the Daba near Panipat. Bowley stayed back. She started going to school. I waited on me that I never thanked the army officer. I hoped that one day I would run into him again. Every time I saw an army man, I would hope it was him. For months I would search for his face in every crowd, and one day I did find him. It was late on a winter night. A truck stopped at the shop. A man got out. He looked familiar. When he stepped out into the light, I saw that it was not him, just someone who bore the strange resemblance. The man was tired. He asked me a cup of tea. As I served him, "Sir, I felt a strange likeness." This sense of joy when the man offered to pay. I did not take the money. The next day I happened again. Every day I would see someone, a complete stranger, tired traveler who reminded me of that officer. It was as if he was everywhere. Every time I served him tea, I felt surge of sheer joy. So after this incident, he had a great respect for him, he had a great reverence. He was very grateful for the army officer, but he couldn't see him after that incident. So he was trying to he was trying to meet him, but that was not possible. So for his remembrance, he thought in his mind, somehow someday he will come to his shop and get the tea. At that time he could recognize him. So he set up he after this incident he worked in a shop in Panipat, and he earned enough of his savings, and he sent his sister also to school. And after that he set up his own shop in the mountain range, on the mountain side. And wherever the military officers or the tired travelers or the pilgrims, they come by that way, and he imagines himself as a military officer. But when they come closer, he would recognize that they were not the military officer but somebody else. Just like that, one day a truck came, a military officer got out, and he seems to be very tired, and he asked for a cup of tea, and he provided the cup of tea, but he did not get the money for that. So when he was getting from the truck, he was going down from the truck, he thought he was the same military officer. When he came closer, it was another resemblance. So just like that, whoever he looks, he imagines as a military officer, and also he keeps on serving tea for them whenever they were tired. At that time, there was a sense of joy in his face. Then come to the next paragraph. A month later, I quit my job at the shop and returned to these mountains, and the shop owner was quite relieved. He had no use of waiter who kept forgetting to present the bill to the customer. Now I am on my own, and I am at peace. Here is your bus, sir. No money. You are tired, as I offered you was a cup of tea. Maybe it was the best tea in all the Garwala. Maybe not, but I am happy. I could do you this small service. Wish you a safe journey, sir, and may God bless with you. So the soldiers or the army officers or pilgrims or the tourists whoever visits them, he considers him as he imagines him as a military officer and provides tea free of cost, and it was a great happiness for him. At the same time, whenever they give money, he fails to get them. He did not allow them to give to him. At the same time, he says to them it was the best tea in Garwala, and also he bids safe journey to them, and also it was and he considers it as a small service to them. Now all of you turn to page number 86. Fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks with words from text. The name of the narrator is Burj, B-R-I-J. There were dash villages in the valley, 670 villages in the valley. Burj went to Pauri to buy his school books. Soldier had set up a makeshift hospital. Bowli had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. Then come to choose the best. Burj started a tea shop because he wanted to serve the people. Option B, because he wanted to serve the people. Molti was completely devastated because of a high intensity earthquake. Option A, because of a high intensity earthquake. Next one. Brother searched everywhere and looked dejected because he couldn't locate his sister. He couldn't locate his sister. Then come to next one. The boy had great reverence and respect for the army officer as they saved his sister from death. As they saved his sister from death. Saved his sister from death. But finally offered the narrator a cup of tea. That's all. There are two questions. There are two questions that are given here. For answer the following questions in a paragraph of about 80 to 100 words. Explain the efforts taken by the army officer to save the boy. Next question: bird has become a symbol of love and humanity. Explain. Learn these two questions from the gate. Understand well and learn these two questions from the gate. And get prepared when you come to the next class. Thank you.